This episode of the Athletes Lounge podcast is brought to you by Dubois County Garage Doors.
I'm Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. I'm here with my guest, North Posey baseball coach Mark Kirkman. How you doing, Coach?
Pretty good, Hunter. Thanks for having me on again.
Just getting right into it. You had a pretty good season. At what point, I guess, in this season, did you think it was going to be a pretty good year?
I thought we preseason. I thought we had a chance to be pretty good. When our arms started to throw a little better than what maybe I'd originally anticipated, that started to click a little bit. And then when we started to win some non-conference games against SIAC teams, I thought, okay, this might be real here. And it was just, I don't know if there was a one defining moment as far as the season goes. It was a unique year, and it felt like it was just a different guy each time out that was kind of being the guy. So it was pretty special. I kept trying to tell myself to savor this just because it was actually, I know it was a very special year, and just a great group of kids too.
It was a good year, but in May you had like a 3-game losing streak. Was there any like kind of doubt inserted in your brain during that streak? That was right before the playoffs, right?
Yeah, not really. I mean, two of those were Jasper and North, who we picked up for makeup games. I mean, they weren't even on the original schedule. We play North every year, but it got canceled because of the eclipse day. And then Jasper, I've always wanted to play at Ruxer. That's just one of the best programs in the state, and I'm a big believer that if we're going to make some noise in the postseason, like we need to be ready, and that's playing good teams. I try and beef our schedule up as much as we can. We play in a good conference anyway, but non-conference, we play as many SIAC teams as we can. So not really. I mean, both of those games, I know the scores weren't super close, but I never felt like we played really poorly. And the other one was Memorial. We lost 4-3. No, I'm a big believer that it's possible to play well and lose. And I really truly feel like that playing good teams like that, especially down the stretch, as long as we keep perspective, as far as what we're trying to accomplish, I think it's nothing but beneficial to us.
What was your in your opinion, your biggest win, I guess, of the regular season?
Oh, let's see here. The one that kind of sticks out in my mind, we run ruled Castle at one point, and I will say I think we might have caught them on a little bit of a down stretch for them, but to run rule the 4A sectional champ in Evansville, as a 2A school, that's pretty cool. The win at Forest Park too is another one that sticks out to me. It was a 2-0 game, obviously very low scoring, and just kind of one of those games that felt like every pitch was big. That one was big, especially being a sectional opponent and one of the consistently one of the better teams in our area, in our conference, in our sectional. That's a really good program Coach Howard has up there, and going into their place on a Friday night, and winning up there. That one really sticks out to me just because too it was to clinch a share of the conference, so there was a lot on the line, and it really did have a postseason feel to it. That one, and then the other one would be the Gibson Southern restart or resume game. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but that one got kind of weird just because we ended in the top of the 8th whenever the rain got too much for the field, and it took a couple weeks to figure out a date to to get it made up. So it was kind of a weird dynamic, but winning that one and the way it was and that was to clinch the sole PAC title. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, you guys had some really good margins of victory, like against Pike Central and Castle. When your team's kind of rolling like that, is there any work you have to do to keep them grounded? Because I mean, there was a stretch where you beat Southridge, Lincoln, and Evansville Christian all by pretty good margins. So is there any work you have to do to keep them, keep them on the earth?
So my players, they love to give me some some crap about they being a cliche guy, and I am. And one of the big ones that we always talk about in stretches like that is, complacency is the enemy of success, right? And only the paranoid survive. And sometimes maybe I'm a little too paranoid at times. When when we were rolling like that, I think at one point we won like 15 in a row. Um, we always talk about just getting back to zero and just trying to get to the next one. And maybe sometimes I dive too much into that because it is important too to enjoy winning. I mean, it's really hard to do, and I think sometimes maybe I don't take enough time to to treasure those wins, I guess, and maybe I should as it goes on. But um, having an older group too, I think that had their season ended in the sectional final last year, I think was or in the 23 season was beneficial. I think it kept these guys hungry and motivated. And then when we towards the end of the year, when we I don't want to say maybe it was a couple of weeks left in the regular season when just about every poll had us number one in the state. Um, that was different. I'm not gonna lie, it freaked me out a little bit. Just because I hate reading our own press clippings and that kind of stuff. And um, after a while, though, to be honest with you, man, I just kind of embraced it just because these guys they earned it. And obviously we don't we're not going to hang any kind of banners for a ranking or anything like that. But it was cool to to have some recognition around the state, um, just to be talked about as one of the better programs in 2A.
So, walk us to the postseason run a little bit. What were you thinking during the run?
So we got a we got to buy in South Spencer in our sectional, and I know South Spencer's record wasn't great, but man, a team like that with Coach Keister, who does an unbelievable job. I mean, the guy's got 4 state titles for a reason. Like the dude, he can coach, and on their home field too. Like I knew it was gonna be a dogfight, and um, our plan, our sectional is formatted towards Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, and we were going to play Thursday, and our plan was to throw Easton on Thursday, try and keep them under 100, and we can bring back Monday. And Easton's normally pretty efficient, and I didn't think it'd be much of an issue. Well, rain hit. We didn't play till Saturday, so that just at that point your plan's gone, right? So we got to come up with a new plan. And I don't want to say we threw off because that's not the right wording, but at that point, Easton was our clear cut number one on the mound, and we thought to ourselves, he's going to have to beat one of these teams, and we just felt like going with Colby at that point, he was going to give us a good chance to win in that game, and then we could try and save Easton for Monday, which we at that point we figured would be would be Mater Day, and that would give us our best chance to win the whole thing. Um, and I have to mention, Colby, he didn't really start pitching till a couple weeks before the preseason. I mean, that kid, he was my starting catcher as a freshman. He moved to the middle infield the last couple of years, picked up pitching, and he's just a competitor and just a baseball guy. And I knew he'd go out there and give us a shot. And kind of like I thought, I mean, it got sticky for a second. I want to say, I think in the fifth, maybe it was 6-4, and I went to Easton because the Epperson kid for them, soft left-handed pitching against us sometimes gives us issues just because we're lefty. Well, this past season we were lefty heavy lineup, and a lot of times high school lefties have some issues with left-handed pitching, and had to go to Easton there. I want to say it was the fifth, and, and they ended up making it 6-5, and then we kind of busted it open there after that. Well, then a bunch of rain came the next day or two, and I was truly concerned that there was a chance this thing might get into Tuesday. And the problem you have is forever comes out of your sectional. If if somebody's thrown over 100 pitches, they're not eligible for the regional.
Yeah.
Well, nobody wants that. So luckily, we were able to get it moved to Bossy Field. We played after the 4A between Castle and Central, played Mater Day, and we had some timely hits, which is big in postseason. With 2 outs, and we were up 6-1 in the seventh. And I tell you, Easton, man, that kid, he was running on fumes, and Mater Day was hitting him pretty good. And I went to a reliever after that, who it was obvious might have a little bit of issue on the mound. And we just decided as a staff, in high school, you can re-enter your starting pitcher. And so we said, hey, I mean, I know Easton's on fumes here, but he's going to throw strikes. It's the bottom of the order. Let's hope their bats find enough gloves and we can get out of here. And it was 6-4 with runners on the corners and 2 outs, and it was getting, yeah, I won't lie, it was getting a little hairy there, and we got a pop up to the first baseman to end it, and that was pretty special. I'm not gonna lie, and I wanted it so bad for these kids. The year before, Aiden Collins that threw for me, one of our seniors, he was just a warrior on the mound, man. I wanted it so bad for him, and for us to not be able to finish it, it sucked. And for this group just to be such a special group and winning the conference is really cool. But man, people only really worry about the postseason. And 7-inning high school baseball and single elimination is really fickle, and it's a sobering feeling when you're sitting there, and I mean we're a kickball away from our season's going to end, and it's just going to be a footnote. This is going to be this team that won a bunch of games but couldn't finish it in the postseason, and that was cool. And there was a lot of emotion there at that point with this group, with a lot of the players, and I don't want to say relief because that's not the right word, but it was pretty neat. I'm not gonna lie, with this group that I I kind of feel like, and I think I might have mentioned this in the preseason, that we had sort of been, without really trying on, we had been building probably since the 22 year. I mean, there was several guys that have been playing varsity as young guys, and for them now as upperclassmen to get to do that was pretty special. And then the next Saturday we played at League Stadium against Linton, and we got up 2-0. And then the first inning was bizarre. We gave up a few hits, kind of a tough zone, a couple walks. We're down 3-2 with 2 outs and the bases loaded, and a kid hit a fly ball to sort of deep right field, and I think our right fielder normally would have had a play on it, but the grass was still wet, and he slipped and fell down. I mean, no fault of his own. He just fell, and next thing you know, we're down 6-2, and it was it was not a good feeling. And we decided we got out of that, and we decided to keep Easton out there. And to his credit, man, that kid just willed himself almost to the 6th inning. We ended up going to Angel with 2 outs in the 5th. He ended up throwing the rest of the game, and we made it. I think we were still down 6-5. I think in the 6th. And then what was kind of the theme for our offense this year, it seemed like once we got a couple barrels here and there, man, we could pour it on pretty quick, and we ended up winning 15-6 there, I believe, in the regional. And then the semi-state, that one hurts just because you're so close to the ultimate goal, it feels like. And I don't really know how to word this, but I don't think we probably put our best performance out there, and not any detriment to the kids. I mean, the effort and energy was 100% there. It was just one of those days we could not hit, and it just happens. I was thinking about it on the way home. If that would have happened 6 weeks before that, if we got beat, I don't know, 3-0 against Memorial or something, we would have said, okay, just tough day at the plate, and we'll get back at it tomorrow. Well, the problem in 7-inning high school baseball is now our season's over.
Yeah.
And it's a tough reality. And it's hard. And I've been really trying to work on this, that you got to keep it in perspective. I mean, just getting to that point to be one of the final 8 teams in 2A is incredible. It really is. I know Posey's won some state titles before, and there's a lot of history there. But man, these kids, it's my hope that 20 years from now they'll look back on what just an incredible run this was. And it really, the wins were obviously awesome, but just the camaraderie that these kids had with each other was just incredible to see. I'm not sure I've had a group that was as close as these guys. I never had any issues as far as attitudes or anything like that. It was just, hey, what can I do to help us win? And man, it's pretty special to see with a group like this. And obviously, there's talent there too. There's no doubt. But just the togetherness, I guess, with these guys was pretty special.
Dubois County Garage Doors, where you get big city selection and hometown service. Visit our website at DuboisCountyGarageDoors.com to see the products we offer or to schedule a service call at your home or business today.
You know, you mentioned you had to move the modern day game to Bossy Field. Was it maybe not cool? I don't know quite the wording, but was it kind of interesting to be an Evansville-based school in, essentially the heart of Evansville?
Yeah. So, well, it was cool for me. I played at Wright, so my home games were there. And when I was in high school, we didn't win a sectional game. So as a coach to be in that stage was pretty neat. And um, you know, and Bossy Field is a neat place, man. For postseason baseball, 4A's got it made there. That's a great atmosphere every year with the history of that place. It's pretty cool. And too, uh, my first year, I think I might have mentioned in the preseason, our 21 regional was there, and we were in the regional final and had a little bit of a tough inning towards the end, and that one was really hard. And I'm not sure exercising some demons is the right phrase there, but man, I'd be lying to you if I when that last inning was going on and if I wasn't having some flashbacks, because it kind of felt like that. So, but to kind of or to get out of there with that win and that championship was pretty special.
So you played a couple of Tennessee-based teams this year. How did that come about, or I guess what was what went on there?
Yeah, so we don't I shouldn't say we don't let our kids, but our kids don't go on spring break vacations. I mean, they know what the expectation is, and I know it sucks that spring break falls in the middle of the season, but we just have such a small window of practice time that as a coach, man, if we're going to be competitive, I can't just willingly give days. I just can't do it. So last off season, actually probably pretty close after the 23 season ended, we were talking as a staff, and I don't remember who brought it up, but somebody said, "Man, we should try and go down south. Like, so we're gonna have a pretty good team. It's a good group of kids. Now would be the time to try and start this." And I got to thinking too about let's be honest, for a 16, 17-year-old kid, when all their friends are at the beach and doing stuff, and they're stuck in, and no offense to Poseyville, Indiana, but not a ton going on. And waiting till 3 o'clock to practice every day. Not a lot of fun. So we said, yeah, let's try and find a place, and we just started asking around, and we found it's not really a tournament. They basically just set you up with local teams that are looking for games, and they have them at different fields, and it was pretty cool. I mean, we played kind of a wide variety of skill level teams. Actually, our first game down there, which would have been our second game of the year, we opened at South Knox a few days before that. We played a team that was, I mean, they were good. I think they beat us. I want to say it was 3-0 or something like that. But
Yeah,
it
Shelbyville
really did.
Central.
Yeah. It didn't feel like it was that close, to be honest with you. Like we struggled. And I'll be now looking back. I think it was good for us to go down there and play good teams. And then on the way back, we actually we stopped and went to Vanderbilt was hosting Missouri, and we got the boys tickets, and I got to see some big time D1 baseball. That was cool. And the whole experience was pretty neat. And I part of me wondered, and there's no way to quantify this, but part of me wonders if there was the togetherness of this team maybe kind of started or not started, but um, only expanded while we were down there, because it's just us. I mean, the parents are there, but in the hotel, it's just the program. So it's definitely something we'll do again as long as we fundraise well enough, and we're going to do it again just because, like I said, I think it was a really cool experience for the guys, and just in a way to get away to just be together as a team and as a program.
So do you think? I mean, you went 2-1 down there. You beat Sequatchie County, and then beat Middle Tennessee, which is located in Nashville. Like,
Yeah.
it's Nashville. Do you think that helped build some confidence? Because you guys went down there, played some teams, I guess they are some bigger areas. with a couple of these cases, and then do you think that helped build confidence?
Yeah, I think so. Like I mentioned earlier, our philosophy is we try and play as many good teams as we can. And those teams down south, I mean, I want to say that Shelbyville team had already played. I think it might have been double-digit games. That was only our second game. So they were way further along than we were, which is completely understandable. But I think so. To these guys to see like, hey, we can compete with these out of state teams too. I think was big. We when we got home, I want to say we played. Was it Princeton? We got beaten extra innings by Princeton. I want to say maybe that next week, but even then, to we lost that game. We didn't play bad. We just didn't necessarily come up with some big hits when we needed to. But yeah, I think playing good teams like that early on only benefits us. When we get into the kind of the grind of our schedule, where it can be grueling at times when we're playing 3, 4, sometimes 5 games a week. So it only benefits us for sure.
Yeah, when you got back, just letting you know, you beat Modern Day and Tell City by healthy margins. Then you lost to Princeton. You beat Perry Central. That's back to back to back to back days. You had 4
Okay, yeah,
games
it's
to play.
weird. It's weird. It feels like it was yesterday and 5 years ago all at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So
You were Shelbyville's 12th game, by the way, so they were already
okay,
fully in.
I
Yeah,
thought so, man. It looked like it. They dominated us in just about every facet. There's no doubt.
yeah. So, at one point you kind of talked about this. There's points where you started, especially when on the winning streak, you started to think you guys were for real a little bit. I when you got to the playoffs, do you think your guys tightened up a little bit, or what do you think? What was the feeling like going into at least the South Spencer game?
I don't think so. I I tried to find the balance of, I want these guys to play loose, and that's kind of my philosophy anyway. We try and play aggressive baseball. We preach aggressive mistakes as much as we can. I don't think it was that semi-state game. Honestly, I just think it was just one of those days. I mean, it just happens. I want to say I think we flew out or popped up like 13 times or something like that. We just couldn't do it at that point. I think if we played that same team 2 or 3 days later, um, I think we might have put forth a little better showing offensively. And don't get me wrong, that pitcher he made big pitches when he needed to, and they made plays when they needed to. They certainly deserved to win that game. I'm not taking anything away from Greencastle at all, but no, I don't think they played tight really. To be honest with you, I just think it. I mean, baseball is a cruel game. It really is.
That's percentage
We
based.
and the fact too, where it's in Indiana, it's not a series like it is in a
Yeah,
lot of states. It is a 7 inning, you know, um, 7 inning single elimination, and some weird things can happen. And again, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Greencastle. They played well and deserved to win too. But I want to emphasize that it doesn't take anything away from who these kids are. I mean, they were a really special group to be around, and one that I'll remember forever. We have our banquet tomorrow night, and I got a feeling it might be a little emotional for me, just because I it kind of hit me at one point this season. I spend more time with these kids than I do my own son, and but they make it worth it. That's for sure.
yeah. We talked about before the year how like you even said before the year you thought this group was going to be pretty good because it was an older group who had already had like they'd already been a little bit more battle tested than most groups their age. And do you think they lived up to your expectations, or they even exceed your? I assume they exceeded your expectations a little bit just because you were able to go on a run. But what was the at what point do you think you hit your goal for this season?
It's weird. I think if you would have told me preseason that we would be the sole conference champ, we'd be 24-6 at the end of the year and lose in the semi-state, I'd have thought, okay, that's a pretty good year. As competitors, it's just always hard to lose the last one.
And then you get
Um,
there.
yeah, exactly, right. And it's weird when you win. You always say, okay, man, I'll be thrilled with the sectional. Well, as soon as you win the sectional, like, oh, I'll be thrilled with the regional. And again, that's just part of being a competitor. I think I might have mentioned preseason though that as far as like expectations, we don't really talk about like, hey, if we don't win a sectional, this season's
Yeah.
not a success. And this group, I will tell you, for 30 games, I don't recall a game where I was disappointed in them. If that makes sense, as far as their effort and their energy, things that we can control. I off the top of my head, I can't think of one. And I mean, if you look, 24-6, and the 6 losses are the Shelbyville team from Tennessee, Memorial, Jasper, North, a really good Princeton team, um, and Greencastle in the semi-state. And that's nothing really to sneeze at. There's not any bad losses on that resume or that record.
And there's some
Um,
weird circumstances.
yeah, for sure. So no, I think it's one definitely to remember. I'm trying to savor it because shoot, you never know. I mean, it might be a while before you have one and get back to this. Like it's hard. Like it's really difficult to get to where we were, to get that far into the postseason. But as far as exceeding expectations, I I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't sure if our arms could hold up consistently, and man, they did. Our pitching staff did I got to credit our pitching coach, Jamie Hensley. Man, he did a really nice job with our pitching staff. Man, we had a lot of competitive outings out there. And I figured we would swing it well, which we did for the most part. We had quite a bit of pop. I mean, we could swing it through most of the order with some potential to for extra base hits. We actually, our cleanup hitter, Cade Beaker, he ended up, I believe, I haven't checked probably since the state finals. He was leading the entire state in RBIs. He had 44 on the year, and for a kid, you talk about guys that uh, you know uh, maybe aren't or exceed expectations. Man, that kid, when he was a sophomore, I think he hit like 190. He got swung for in the sectionals as a sophomore. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, that guy, I think he put on about 20 pounds of muscle in the weight room, and that guy just lived in the cage, and he just made himself into a good player. He is the definition of what hard work will do. And the good news for us is we have a lot of guys like that. We have multiple guys. It's not just him that they buy into that, into the weight room and making something, with physically with their bodies. It's a lot of our guys in our program take that seriously, and it shows. Um, I know I'm kind of rambling here with the maybe not answering your question, um,
No, it's
but as
fine.
far as yeah, no, sorry, I'll be honest, man. I have a hard time not talking about these guys, just because I don't really have any negatives at all
Yeah.
with them. As far as from like a high school perspective, it's just we can't. We're not a college where we like, hey man, we're short a left-handed reliever. Let's go get one. No, we are what we are, and we
Yeah.
kind of joked during the year when we were really rolling because I'm like, man, what's going on here? Like, it just feels like something's different, and all of our guys, just like about 99.9% of high school guys, they all have a weakness in their game. Just like I said, just about everybody else. But for some weird reason, I always joke we were kind of like the island of misfit toys, where man, you put it together and it works. And they just kind of complemented each other as far as their games go. Um, but a lot of that, like I said, comes from these guys in the off season, just the work they put in. Because really, from an everyday perspective, we only have them for a short time. A
Yeah.
lot of this is up to them, and we have our 2-day a week workouts for a decent portion of the year. But if you're really trying to take the next step, it's more than that. And like I said, most of these guys. And the good news is, we return a decent amount. We'll lose three pretty big bats, Lewigs, Simmons, and Christie. Those will be really hard to replace. Logan was our starting catcher the last 2 years, first team all conference kid. Christie, our first baseman, he was an honorable mention PAC kid. He kind of our energy guy. Maybe not the numbers as the other guys, but man, he was kind of our energy guy. And then Easton, he just I'm not sure what to say about that kid. Hell, that kid, he led off the sectionals freshman year. I can't believe he's not going to be in the pro. It feels like he's been here for 20 years. And I have to go look. I think the last 2 years he's had like 90 hits or something like that. I don't remember exactly how many he had for his career, but it's probably in the 120, 130 range. To lose, I mean, he's been kind of a mainstay in the 2-hole for us. And to lose that, it's hard to replace. But good news is I think we're going to be pretty deep on the mound next year. Maybe not necessarily a D1 shutdown arm, but I think we're going to be, as far as pitching goes. I mean, Easton was really it as far as guys that are leaving. And he was a big one to replace, but we'll bring back what I think will be about 7 or 8 competitive RC arms, which you get in the meat of your season. That'll be a good thing to have.
Yeah, so kind of just wrapping up here, I guess, going into is there anything from this year, coaching wise, that you think you learned that you can apply to years going forward? Would it be taking trips down south? Would it be maybe the way you handle this group? Was there anything that you want to carry over?
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned earlier. The biggest thing I think for me was learning to enjoy it. I'll be completely honest with you. I can be sort of a pessimistic person at times, and sometimes I can use it to a strength just because I try and use it to always be as prepared as we can possibly be. But I think every once in a while I might go a little overboard with it, where I don't enjoy the ride sometimes, and this group really taught me to do that because I mentioned to them on a couple different occasions, that there were times I needed these guys more than way more than they ever needed me. Um, it yeah, having a son changes your perspective on things, and I wasn't 100% sure how long I wanted to do this. But man, this was so worth it that it's completely rejuvenated me as a coach. And just this group. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know. I don't have the words really to describe them, just because they were special. And it wasn't just the talent, because that was definitely there, but it was just the whole package, I guess. I just and selfishly, I obviously I wanted to get to Victory Field, but also just wanted one more week with these guys. Just to be around them, it was just fun. And when you're going that far in the postseason too, it's I don't say it's more laid back, but there's a little bit of that where you can let your guard down a little bit and have some fun with these guys. And that's one thing I think I kind of learned is to be let them see me as a person too, and not just as a
Authoritarian.
coach. Yeah, and I'm not a huge yeller and screamer anyway, but I can get stressed out pretty easy, and I think these guys and the good news too, the group we have coming back next year. I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, 3 of them have been either full time or part time varsity starters since their freshman year. Um, we're gonna have some older guys. We'll be young in some spots too. So next year will be a little weird year. I'll be honest, man. I fully expect to compete for both the conference and the sectional championship. I'm not sure if I call us a favorite or not, but like I said, baseball's a weird game, and just give yourself a chance. You never know. You never know how it'll shake out, but I do think this group especially really helped me kind of solidify the culture and the things that I want done or how I want it done at North Posey. And I think it really kind of gave me some confidence as a coach that, hey, maybe I can make this work, right? Now that this is my 4th season on the field, and these are fully my guys. I mean, this is completely my program at this point. So that was pretty neat to see.
Well, that's really all I have, Coach. Thanks for coming on. This has been Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Thanks for doing this, Coach.
Hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Way at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.